The message traveled through the darkness of space for many hours. It passed by dead planets and empty star systems, racing toward the edge of the galaxy where few ships ever went. Finally, it reached a group of metal stations floating in the cold void. These were Earth's outer listening posts, always watching, always waiting. Lieutenant Seo sat at her monitoring station on Luna Base, the largest human outpost near Earth's moon. She had been on duty for 6 hours watching screens full of data from across the galaxy. Most days, nothing interesting happened. The other alien species rarely came near human space, and humans were not allowed to leave their home system. Then her computer made a sound she had never heard before. A soft beeping that meant an unknown signal was coming in. SEO sat up straight and began working her controls, trying to understand what she was receiving. "That's strange," she said to herself. The signal was not coming from any human ship. It was in a language her computer did not recognize, but there were universal mathematical codes that any species could understand. Numbers, coordinates, a pattern that clearly meant danger. SEO worked quickly to decode the message. As she understood more of it, her eyes grew wide with surprise. This was a distress call from aliens asking for help. In all her 5 years of working at the listening post, she had never received anything like this. She immediately called her commander. "Admiral Kang, sir, you need to see this right away." Admiral Kang was a tall man with gray hair and scars on his face from old battles. He had been in the human military for 40 years, ever since first contact with the galactic community had gone so wrong. He walked quickly to Seo's station and looked at her screens. "What am I looking at, Lieutenant?" "It's a distress call, sir, from aliens called Alterans. They say they are peaceful explorers under attack by something called the Corvan Empire. 47 enemy warships." SEO pointed to the coordinates on her screen. "They are asking for help from anyone who can hear them." Admiral Kang was quiet for a long moment. He had lived through humanity's first meeting with alien civilizations 300 years ago. The other species had been horrified when they learned that humans came from Earth, a world so dangerous that it had created the perfect warriors. The aliens had politely but firmly asked humans to stay in their own solar system for everyone's safety. Since then, humanity had been alone. They built their ships and trained their soldiers, always wondering if they would ever be allowed to join the galactic community. Most aliens thought humans were too violent, too dangerous to be trusted. The few times human diplomats had tried to make contact, they were turned away with fear and disgust. But now, for the first time in 3 centuries, someone was asking humans for help. "How long ago was this message sent?" Admiral Kang asked. "About 4 hours, sir. At maximum hyperspace speed, we could reach them in 6 hours. Admiral Kang made his decision quickly. "Get me Fleet Commander Lee on a secure channel. Priority. Alpha." A few minutes later, the face of Fleet Commander Lee appeared on the communication screen. Lee was younger than Kang, but her eyes held the same hard look that came from years of military training. She was currently aboard the Terran Defense Fleet's flagship, a massive dreadnought called the Iron Will. "Admiral," Lee said, "what's the situation? We have received a distress call from peaceful aliens under attack. I am sending you the details now." Kang transferred the message to Lee's ship. "How quickly can you mobilize the fleet?" Lee studied the information for several seconds. Like all human military officers, she could read tactical data very fast. 47 enemy ships, unknown weapons and defenses, attacking civilians. She looked back at Admiral Kang. "I can have 12 ships ready to jump in 30 minutes. "Sir?" "Do it," Kang ordered. "And Commander, this is our first chance to show the galaxy what we are really about. Make sure we make the right impression." "Understood, Admiral. Iron Will out." Across the human solar system, sleeping giants began to wake up. For 300 years, humanity had been building their military in secret, not knowing if they would ever need it, but always preparing for the worst. Their ships were hidden in asteroid fields, behind moons, and in the dark spaces between planets. Captain Park received her orders aboard the destroyer Storm's Edge, while her ship was docked at a maintenance station near Mars. She had been born on Earth 35 years ago, in a time when humanity was still hoping to be accepted by the other species in the galaxy. She had joined the military because it was the only way to serve her people when they were not allowed to explore or trade with anyone else. All hands prepare for immediate departure, Park announced to her crew over the ship's communication system. We have a rescue mission. Her crew moved with the efficiency that came from years of training. They had practiced this exact scenario hundreds of times, jumping to an unknown location to face an unknown enemy. On Earth, children learn to fight before they learn to read. The planet's dangerous environment had taught humans to be ready for anything. The Storm's Edge was a deadly ship, even though it was small compared to the fleet's larger vessels. Its hull was made from materials that could survive Earth's violent storms and crushing ocean depths. Its weapons were designed by a species that had fought for survival every day of their evolution. As Park's ship powered up its engines, 11 other human warships were doing the same thing across the solar system. The Iron Will, Lee's flagship, was a kilometer long and carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The cruiser Relentless had shields that could withstand a direct hit from a nuclear weapon. The destroyer pack led by Storm's Edge could move faster than most alien ships could even detect. But the most dangerous thing about the human fleet was not their ships or their weapons. It was the people inside them. Every human crew member had been shaped by Earth, a world that tried to kill its children every single day and failed. They knew how to fight because they had been fighting since the day they were born. Fleet Commander Lee stood on the bridge of the Iron Will, watching as her task force prepared to jump to hyperspace. Around her, the bridge crew worked with calm precision. They showed no fear, no excitement, only the steady focus of natural predators preparing to hunt. "Ma'am," called Lieutenant June from the navigation station. "All ships report ready for hyperspace jump." "Very good. Set course for the coordinates from the distress call. Maximum speed." Lee looked out at the stars one more time. Somewhere out there, peaceful beings were about to die because they could not defend themselves. This was exactly the kind of situation humans had been designed by evolution to handle. "All ships, this is Iron Will," she announced on the fleet communication channel. "Jump in 3, 2, 1, mark." Space tore open like fabric as 12 human warships disappeared into hyperspace. They moved faster than light itself, racing across impossible distances toward beings they had never met. For the first time, in 300 years, humanity was leaving their home system not as explorers or diplomats, but as what they had always been, protectors of the innocent. Behind them, Admiral Kang watched from Luna Base as the fleet's signals disappeared into the void. He had been waiting his entire career for this moment. Finally, humanity would have a chance to prove that their warrior nature was not something to fear, but something that could save lives. The message had awakened the sleeping giants, and when they arrived, the galaxy would never be the same. Captain Yuki stood on the bridge of the peaceful dawn, watching the stars move slowly past the large window. Her tall, thin body swayed gently as the ship traveled through space. Like all Altorans, she was 7 feet tall, with long arms and legs. Her skin was so pale it was almost see-through, showing the blue blood moving underneath. The peaceful dawn was a beautiful ship. Its white metal surface gleamed in the starlight, and soft blue lights ran along its smooth edges. It was built for exploring, not fighting. The Altorans had never needed weapons because they had never met anyone who wanted to hurt them. "Captain," called Taro from his seat at the communication station. He was younger than Yuki, with the same pale skin and long limbs. His voice was soft and musical, like all Altoran voices. "We are getting close to the star system we want to study. The readings look very interesting." Yuki smiled and walked over to look at his screen. The data showed a system with 7 planets, 3 of which might have life. This was exactly what they were looking for. The Altoran Federation sent ships like theirs all over the galaxy to find new worlds and learn about them. They never took anything or hurt anyone. They just wanted to know more about the universe. "Very good, Taro. Send a message to the other ships. Tell them we will start our scans in 1 hour." Yuki looked out the window again. 3 other Altoran ships traveled with them, each one filled with scientists and explorers. They were all friends all excited to learn something new. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. Officer Hana worked at the science station, her long fingers dancing over the controls as she prepared the scanning equipment. Officer Day checked the ship's systems to make sure everything was working perfectly. It was a normal day for them, just like hundreds of others. Yuki had been captain for 20 years. She had seen many beautiful worlds and met several different alien species. All of them had been peaceful, just like the Altorans. Some were small and furry, others were tall and made of crystal. Some could fly, others lived underwater. But they were all kind and curious about the universe. Yuki thought this was how all intelligent life must be. "Captain," Taro's voice was suddenly loud and worried. "I am picking up something strange. There are ships coming toward us. Many ships." Yuki hurried back to his station. On his screen, she could see red dots moving fast through space. There were too many to count easily. "How many?" she asked. Taro's hands shook as he worked his controls. "I count 47 ships, Captain. They are big, much bigger than ours. And they are coming straight at us." Hana looked up from her station. "Captain, I am scanning the ships. They have weapons. Many, many weapons. These are not exploration ships like ours." Yuki felt her heart beat faster. In all her years of space travel, she had never seen warships before. She did not even know what they looked like until now. "Can you tell what species they are from?" "The computer says they are Corvan ships," Hana replied. Her voice was very quiet now. "Captain, the computer also says the Corvans are dangerous." Yuki quickly called up information about the Corvans on her own screen. What she read made her feel sick. The Corvans were a species that took over other worlds by force. They were strong fighters who loved war. They had been growing their empire for hundreds of years by attacking peaceful worlds and making them part of their territory. "Captain," Day called out from his station, "the Corvan ships will reach us in 30 minutes. Should we try to run away?" Yuki looked at the numbers on her screen. The Corvan ships were much faster than the Altoran ships. Even if they started running right now, the enemy would catch them easily. "No," she said sadly. "We cannot outrun them. Send a message to the other captains. Tell them what is happening." The next few minutes passed very slowly. The 4 Altoran ships moved closer together, like scared animals huddling for safety. But Yuki knew it would not help. Their ships had no weapons and no shields strong enough to stop an attack. "Captain," Taro said, "the Corvan ships are trying to talk to us." "Put them on the main screen," Yuki ordered. The large screen at the front of the bridge lit up. A huge reptile face appeared, covered in thick scales and scars. Its eyes were yellow and mean, and its mouth was full of sharp teeth. When it spoke, its voice was deep and rough. "I am General Vex of the Corvan Empire," the creature said. "You are now in Corvan space. Your ships and everything on them belong to us." Yuki stepped forward, trying to look brave even though she was very scared. "I am Captain Yuki of the Altoran Federation. We are peaceful explorers. We do not want any trouble. We will leave your space right away." General Vex laughed, a horrible sound like rocks grinding together. "Too late for that, little bird. We do not let anyone leave once they have seen our fleet. But I am feeling generous today. I will give you 1 hour to think about your situation. Maybe you will decide to surrender without making us destroy you." The screen went black. Yuki stood there for a moment, not knowing what to do. Around her, the bridge was completely silent. Everyone was too scared to speak. "Captain," Hana finally whispered, "what are we going to do?" Yuki sat down in her command chair and put her head in her hands. She thought about all the peaceful species she had met over the years. None of them would be able to help against an enemy like this. The Altoran Federation had no warships to send. They did not even know how to build them. Then she had an idea. "Taro," she said, looking up, "can you send out a distress signal? Not just to our own people, but to everyone. Send it on all frequencies as far as it will reach." Taro nodded and began working at his controls. What should the message say? Tell them where we are. Tell them how many enemy ships there are. Tell them we need help. Yuki knew it was probably hopeless, but she had to try something. Captain, Day said carefully, who will get the message? All the species we know about are peaceful like us. They cannot fight the Corvins either. I know, Yuki replied. But maybe there is someone out there we have never met. Someone who can help. She did not really believe it. But what else could she do? Taro finished setting up the message. Ready to send, Captain. Do it. The message shot out into space at the speed of light, racing away from the small Altoran ships toward the distant stars. It carried coordinates, information about the enemy fleet, and a simple plea for help from anyone who might be listening. What none of them knew was that the signal would travel much farther than they thought possible. It would pass through empty space and around dead worlds, racing past civilizations that were too far away or too weak to help. But finally, after traveling for hours across the galaxy, the message would reach a place that most aliens tried never to think about. A region of space marked in all the star charts with warning signs. A place where the most dangerous species in the galaxy had been politely but firmly asked to stay. The message would reach Earth. And for the first time in 300 years, the humans would learn that someone needed their help. News traveled fast across the galaxy. Within hours of the human fleet's departure, monitoring stations from dozens of different species had detected the hyperspace signatures leaving Earth's solar system. The readings were like nothing they had ever seen before. Massive ships moving at incredible speeds heading toward the outer rim territories. On the crystal world of Mathanos, Representative Zara stood in the emergency session hall of the Galactic Council. Her body was made of living crystal that changed colors with her emotions. Right now, she was flashing red and orange, the colors of fear and anger. The Deathworlders have left their containment zone, she announced to the assembled representatives, from 40 different species. After 300 years of staying in their home system, the humans are finally making their move. A wave of worried sounds filled the chamber. The Villani delegation, small furry creatures with large eyes, chittered nervously to each other. The gas-based Syntherians changed their cloud formations to show distress. Even the normally calm Altoran representatives, cousins of Captain Yuki's people, swayed with anxiety. Council leader Thanos, an ancient being whose species had lived for thousands of years, called for order. We must not panic. We do not yet know why the humans have left their system. Perhaps this is merely an exploration mission. Exploration? Zara's crystal body flashed brighter red. 12 of their largest warships, traveling at maximum hyperspace speed toward the rim territories. This is clearly an invasion fleet. The truth was that most of the species in the Galactic Council were terrified of humans. When first contact had been made 3 centuries ago, the aliens had been excited to meet a new intelligent species. But when they learned about Earth, everything changed. Earth was what the galactic community called a death world, a planet so dangerous that it should not have been able to support complex life. It had violent weather, deadly animals, poisonous plants, and natural disasters that happened constantly. The gravity was so strong that most alien species could not even walk on its surface. But humans had not just survived on Earth. They had thrived. The planet had shaped them into perfect warriors, beings who could adapt to any environment and overcome any threat. When the aliens realized this, they had politely but firmly asked humanity to stay in their home system for everyone's safety. We should contact the Corvin Empire, suggested Representative Oro from the trading worlds. If the humans are heading toward their territory, General Vex should be warned. The Corvins? Thanos considered this. They are warriors themselves. Perhaps they can handle the human threat. What none of them knew was that the Corvins were exactly the reason the humans had left their system. Meanwhile, in the outer rim territories, General Vex was enjoying himself. The 4 Altaran ships floated helplessly in space while his massive fleet surrounded them. He had given them 1 hour to surrender, but he was in no hurry. He liked to watch peaceful species realize how powerless they were. "General," called his tactical officer, "the aliens are sending messages to each other. Should we stop them?" Vex laughed, showing his sharp teeth. Let them talk. What can they say that will help them? There is no one out here who can challenge the might of the Corvan Empire. On the bridge of the Peaceful Dawn, Captain Yuki was trying to stay calm for her crew. The hour that General Vex had given them was almost over, and she still had no plan. Their distress signal had been sent many hours ago, but no one had answered. Captain, Taro said quietly, I am still monitoring all communication channels. There is no response to our message. Yuki nodded sadly. She had not really expected anyone to help them. All the species she knew were peaceful explorers like the Alterans. None of them had the kind of weapons needed to fight 47 Corvan warships. There is something strange, though, Taro continued. I am picking up some unusual readings on the hyperspace sensors. Something big is moving through space toward us. Before Yuki could ask what he meant, the communication system crackled to life. General Vex's ugly face appeared on the main screen. Again. Time is up, little birds, the Corvan general announced. Have you decided to surrender, or do I need to destroy you ship by ship? Yuki stepped forward, trying to look braver than she felt. General Vex, we are peaceful scientists. We have done nothing to harm you or your empire. Please let us leave in peace. Peace? Vex laughed again. The only peace is the peace of the grave, but I am feeling generous. Surrender now, and I will kill you quickly instead of slowly. I cannot surrender my crew to you, Yuki replied. We would rather die free than live as your slaves. General Vex's yellow eyes grew angry. So be it. All ships prepare to fire. Let us show these peaceful fools what happens to those who refuse. The Corvan Empire. The 47 Corvan ships began to move into attack formation. Their weapons powered up, creating an evil red glow that reflected off their dark hulls. Yuki closed her eyes and prepared to die. But before the Corvans could, fire! Taro shouted from his station. Captain, hyperspace signatures. Something is coming out of hyperspace right now. On General Vex's ship, alarm signals suddenly began blaring. General, his sensor officer called out. Multiple contacts dropping out of hyperspace. 12 large ships, unknown configuration. What? Vex spun around to look at the tactical display. Where did they come from? Unknown, sir. They appeared without warning. Their hyperspace drives are unlike anything in our databases. General Vex studied the readings with growing confusion. The new ships were massive, larger than his own heavy cruisers. But more importantly, their energy signatures were completely unfamiliar. In all his years of conquest, he had never seen ship designs like these. Hail them, he ordered. Find out who dares to interfere with the Corvan Empire. Back on the Peaceful Dawn, Captain Yuki and her crew watched in amazement as 12 dark shapes materialized in space around them. The new ships were unlike anything they had ever seen. Where Alteran vessels were smooth and curved, these ships were angular and aggressive. Where Corvan ships looked like flying fortresses, these looked like predators made of metal and death. Captain, Hana whispered from her science station. The computer cannot identify these ship designs. They are not in any of our databases. Who are they? Yuki wondered aloud. Who answered our call for help? She was about to find out that the galaxy contained species far more dangerous than the Corvans had ever imagined. And for the first time, in 300 years, the most feared beings in known space were about to introduce themselves to their neighbors. Space itself seemed to tear apart as the 12 human warships dropped out of hyperspace. Reality twisted and bent around their massive forms, then snapped back into place with a sound that every ship in the area could hear through their hulls. The human fleet appeared in perfect formation, as if they had done this maneuver 1,000 times before. The Iron Will, Fleet Commander Lee's flagship, was the largest ship in the formation. It was over 1 kilometer long and bristled with weapons that no other species had ever seen. Its hull was dark gray, almost black, and covered with angular armor plates that looked like the scales of some giant metal predator. Strange blue lights ran along its edges, pulsing like a heartbeat. Around the Iron Will, 11 other human ships took their positions. Destroyers, cruisers, and assault ships, each one built for war by a species that had been fighting for survival since the day they first stood up on 2 legs. Their hulls were scarred from training exercises that would have destroyed lesser ships. Their weapons were powered by energy sources that alien scientists could not even understand. On the bridge of the Iron Will, Fleet Commander Lee studied the tactical situation with calm eyes. Her crew worked quietly around her, each person focused on their job with the kind of concentration that comes from knowing that lives depend on their actions. The bridge was darker than most alien ships, lit only by the soft glow of instrument panels and the cold light of distant stars. "Tactical report," Lee ordered. Lieutenant Kwan, the ship's weapons officer, looked up from his station. 47 enemy ships, General. Configuration matches Corvan Empire designs from our databases. They have the 4 Alteron vessels surrounded. Lee nodded. The human fleet had arrived just in time. A few more minutes, and the peaceful aliens would have been dead. "Communications, open a channel to the enemy fleet. All frequencies." The communication officer, Ensign Bach, worked his controls. "Channel open, Commander." Lee's voice carried across space to every ship in the area. It was calm and controlled, but there was something underneath it that made even hardened Corvan warriors feel cold. "This is Fleet Commander Lee of the Terran. Defense Fleet, you are attacking civilians under our protection. Stand down immediately." On General Vex's command ship, the Corvan general stared at the tactical display in confusion. His sensors were giving him readings that made no sense. The human ships appeared to be made of materials denser than anything in Corvan databases. Their weapon signatures were completely unknown, showing power levels that should have been impossible for ships that size. "Who are these Terrans?" Vex asked his intelligence officer. "I have never heard of them." The intelligence officer worked frantically at his station, searching through every database the Corvan Empire had ever collected. Finally, he found something. "General, there are references to a species called humans in some of the older galactic records. They are from a world called Earth somewhere in the core systems. What do the records say about them?" The officer's scaly face went pale. "Sir, they are listed as a quarantined species. The records say they are from a death world. They have been restricted to their home system by order of the Galactic Council." General Vex laughed, though it sounded forced now. "Quarantined? If they were truly dangerous, why would they be locked away instead of destroyed? No, these must be some new species trying to sound impressive." He activated his communicator. "Human ships, this is General Vex of the Corvan Empire. You are outnumbered 3-1. Withdraw immediately, or you will be destroyed along with these pathetic peacekeepers." There was a long pause before Fleet. Commander Lee replied. When her voice came through the speakers again, it was even colder than before. "Negative, General Vex. You have 30 seconds to begin retreat. After that, we will consider you hostile and act accordingly." General Vex's yellow eyes blazed with anger. No one had ever dared speak to him like that. "You think 12 ships can defeat the might of the Corvan Empire? I will enjoy adding your hulls to my trophy collection." On the peaceful dawn, Captain Yuki watched the exchange with growing amazement. The human commander spoke to General Vex the way someone might speak to a disobedient child. There was no fear in her voice, no uncertainty, just a simple statement of fact that somehow carried more menace than all of Vex's threats combined. "Taro," Yuki said quietly, "are you getting readings on the human ships?" Taro worked at his controls, his long fingers trembling slightly. "Captain, their energy signatures are incredible. I have never seen anything like this. The power levels, it is like they have captured stars and put them inside their ships." Meanwhile, Captain Park was preparing the Storm's Edge for combat. Her destroyer had moved to escort the Alteron vessels to safety, positioning itself between the peaceful aliens and the Corvan fleet. As her ship approached the peaceful dawn, Park got her first look at the beings they had come to rescue. Through the viewports of the Alteran ship, she could see tall, thin figures moving around their bridge. They looked fragile, almost transparent, nothing like the hardy humans who had evolved on Earth's dangerous surface. These were clearly people who had never known real violence, never had to fight for their lives against a world that tried to kill them every day. "Ma'am," called her tactical officer, "the Alterans are trying to communicate with us." "Put them through," Park ordered. Captain Yuki's image appeared on the Storm's Edge's main screen. When she saw Captain Park, her large eyes went wide with surprise. The human woman looked so much smaller than the Alterans, but there was something about her that was completely different from any being Yuki had ever met. Her eyes held a weight that spoke of a lifetime spent preparing for war. "I am Captain Yuki of the Altoran Federation," Yuki said. We sent out a distress call. Did you receive it?" Captain Park nodded. "We did. You're safe now. My ship will escort you out of the battle zone." "Battle zone?" Yuki looked confused. "But there are so many of them. How can 12 ships fight 47? Park's expression did not change. "You're about to find out why the galaxy keeps us quarantined." The 30 seconds Fleet Commander Lee had given the Corvins ticked by slowly. General Vex spent the time powering up his weapons and preparing his fleet for battle. He was confident that his superior numbers would win the day. After all, what could 12 unknown ships do against the proven might of the Corvin Empire? When the time limit expired, Lee's voice came over the communication system one final time. "General Vex, your time is up. All Corvin vessels are now considered hostile. You may surrender at any time. We will accept your surrender right up until the moment we destroy you." "Destroy us?" General Vex roared with laughter. "All ships, open. Fire. Show these humans what real warriors can do." The 47 Corvin ships unleashed everything they had. Plasma cannons, missile batteries, and energy weapons filled space with deadly fire, all of it aimed at the 12 human vessels. And then the humans fired back. What happened next would be talked about across the galaxy for generations. The human weapons cut through Corvin shields like they were made of paper. Their ships moved, with impossible grace, dodging attacks that should have been unavoidable while returning fire with pinpoint accuracy. The Iron Will alone destroyed 3 Corvin cruisers in the first 10 seconds of combat. Its main guns fired beams of energy that simply deleted everything they touched, leaving nothing behind but empty space and glowing particles. Captain Park's Storm's Edge danced between enemy fire like a leaf in the wind, its smaller weapons picking apart Corvin fighters and bombers with mechanical precision. Every shot found its target. Every maneuver was perfectly timed. General Vex watched in growing horror as his proud fleet was systematically torn apart by beings he had dismissed as inferior. "How is this possible?" he whispered. "What are these creatures?" His intelligence officer had found more information in the databases. "General," he said, his voice shaking, "I found more records. These humans, they are from a planet that tried to kill them every single day for millions of years. The gravity is twice what we are used to. The weather can destroy mountains, the animals. General, everything on their world is designed to kill everything else." "That is impossible," Vex protested, even as another of his ships exploded on the tactical display. "No intelligent species could evolve in such conditions." "But they did, sir. And every single day of that evolution made them better at war." General Vex finally understood what he was facing. These were not just warriors. They were the children of a world that had spent millions of years creating the perfect predators, and now those predators had come to protect the innocent. The battle lasted exactly 12 minutes and 17 seconds. When it was over, 29 Corvin ships were destroyed, 15 more were badly damaged and drifting in space, and only 3 had managed to escape by jumping to hyperspace at the first sign that the fight was going badly. The human fleet had not lost a single ship. In fact, most of their vessels showed no damage at all. General Vex sat in his command chair, staring at his tactical display in complete shock. Half of his proud fleet was gone, reduced to glowing wreckage floating in the darkness of space. The other half was either running away or begging for mercy. His own ship had taken heavy damage when he tried to ram the human flagship, only to discover that their hull was so strong his attack barely scratched the paint. "General," his communication officer called out weakly, "the humans are sending us a message." Fleet Commander Lee's face appeared on the main screen. She looked exactly the same as she had before the battle began, calm, controlled, and completely unbothered by the destruction her fleet had just caused. Behind her, the bridge of the Iron Will showed no signs of battle damage. Her crew worked quietly at their stations as if they had just completed a routine training exercise. General Vex, Lee said. "This is your final warning. Leave this system immediately and never return. If we detect Corvan ships attacking peaceful civilians again, we will not be so merciful next time." Vex wanted to argue, wanted to threaten, wanted to salvage some dignity from this disaster. But when he looked at the human commander's eyes, he saw something that made his blood run cold. She was not angry or excited by the battle. She was not even particularly interested. To her, destroying his fleet had been a simple job that needed doing, nothing more. This was what a real predator looked like. We will leave," Vex said finally. "But this is not over, human. The Corvan Empire will remember this insult." Lee's expression did not change. "I'm sure you will. All surviving Corvan vessels, you have 10 minutes to collect your escape pods and leave this system. After that, we will consider any remaining ships to be debris and dispose of them accordingly." The communication ended. General Vex gave the order to retreat, and the surviving Corvan ships limped away into hyperspace, carrying news of their defeat back to the Empire. It would be many years before the Corvans dared to attack peaceful civilians again. As the enemy ships disappeared, Captain Park brought the Storm's Edge alongside the peaceful Dawn. She had been given the honor of making formal contact with the aliens they had rescued. It was humanity's first peaceful meeting with another species in 300 years. Captain Yuki met Park in the Storm's Edge's shuttle bay, accompanied by several other Alteran officers. When they saw the humans up close for the first time, they were amazed by how different they were from any species in the galaxy. The humans were shorter than most spacefaring races, but they moved with a predator's grace. Their muscles were denser, their reflexes faster, their eyes constantly alert for danger. But what surprised Yuki most was how gentle they were. Captain Park spoke softly and moved slowly, clearly trying not to frighten her guests. When Taro stumbled slightly in the unfamiliar gravity, a human officer steadied him with careful hands. "Welcome aboard the Storm's Edge," Park said. "I'm sorry we couldn't arrive sooner. Are any of your people hurt?" "No," Yuki replied, still somewhat in shock from what she had witnessed. "Thanks to you, we are all safe. But I must ask, how did you defeat them so easily? The Corvans are supposed to be great warriors." Park exchanged a look with her officers. How could they explain to these peaceful beings what it meant to be human? How could they describe growing up on a world where children learned to fight before they could walk, where every day was a struggle, against a planet that tried to kill its inhabitants? "We come from a difficult world," Park said finally. "It taught us how to fight, but it also taught us who is worth fighting for." "Your world made you into warriors," Yuki observed. "The other species in the galaxy, they fear you, don't they?" "Yes," Park admitted. "For 300 years we have been alone because others think we are too dangerous to trust." Yuki was quiet for a moment, thinking about what she had seen. The human ships were indeed terrifying weapons of war, but they had used their power to save innocent lives. The humans themselves looked dangerous, but they were treating her and her crew with kindness and respect. "I think," Yuki said slowly, "that the galaxy has been very foolish. News of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. The 3 surviving Corvan ships carried the story to their empire, where it caused panic in the highest levels of government. The Galactic Council received reports from their monitoring stations, confirming that the quarantined humans had left their system and engaged in combat with a major galactic power. But the most important news came from Captain Yuki herself. Standing in the communication center of the Storm's Edge, she made a broadcast that reached every corner of civilized space. Her message was simple. The humans had saved her people from certain death, asking nothing in return except the chance to help those who could not help themselves. "For 300 years, Yuki said to the galaxy, we have kept these brave beings isolated because we feared their strength. But today I learned that their greatest strength is not their weapons or their ships. It is their willingness to use their power to protect the innocent." The broadcast caused chaos across the galaxy. Some species, like Representative Zara's crystal people, demanded that the humans be forced back to their quarantine zone. Others began to question whether isolation was the right policy. A few brave voices even suggested that perhaps it was time to welcome humanity into the galactic community. On Earth, Admiral Kang received reports from the returning fleet. The mission had been a complete success. Not only had they saved the Altoran ships, but they had done so without becoming the aggressors themselves. They had fought only to protect the innocent, exactly as he had hoped. "Sir," Lieutenant Seo reported from her monitoring station, "we are receiving communication requests from 17 different species. They all want to establish diplomatic contact with Earth." Kang smiled for the first time in years. "After 300 years of silence, the galaxy finally wants to talk to us." Fleet Commander Lee stood on the bridge of the Iron Will as it traveled back toward Earth. The mission had gone exactly as planned, but she knew this was only the beginning. Word of humanity's intervention would spread, and other aggressive species would test them. There would be more battles, more rescues, more chances to prove that Earth's children could be trusted with their terrible power. Captain Park remained with the Altoran ships, escorting them safely back to their home system. As she watched the graceful alien vessels traveling alongside her destroyer, she thought about what the future might hold. For the first time since first contact, humans and aliens were working together as equals. Perhaps the galaxy was finally ready to accept that the children of Earth were not monsters to be feared, but guardians to be welcomed. And perhaps humanity was finally ready to take its place among the stars, not as conquerors but as protectors of all peaceful life. The age of human isolation was ending. The age of human protection was about to begin. In the depths of space, other aggressive species had taken note of what happened to the Corvan fleet. Some of them began to plan attacks on human shipping, thinking they could succeed where Vex had failed. Others decided to test human resolve by attacking species that had requested human protection. All of them would learn the same lesson the Corvans had learned. Earth had spent 4 billion years creating the perfect warriors. And those warriors had finally found their true purpose. Not conquest, but the defense of those who could not defend themselves. The galaxy would never be the same.